Hi guys, welcome back, and I just want to make a quick apology quickly, as I'm doing another part of this What If pretty close after the other one, and that is mostly because I really like this one, and I got a little bit excited, so I wanted to do it, but the next What If I'm doing will be What If Bardock managed to escape, and I know that was quite popular, so I'm obviously looking forward to doing that one as well, but this one was just a little bit more fun for me to do, so I got a little bit excited and I jumped ahead and did it. Now last time we were here, we saw what would happen if the likes of Goten was born first, with the likes of Goku managing to survive the fight against Raditz, and with the other Saiyans on their way to Earth now. We see the Earth group getting ready to defend their planet and starting their training now. So let's jump into the story. We join our heroes as we see Goku talking to Chi-Chi. No, no, no. Our son will not fight no aliens, Goku. With Goku saying how Goten has such incredible potential as a fighter, he could be the reason they win the fight against Saiyans, with Chi-Chi responding, I can live if Goten wanted to train, be like you, Goku, but this is a dangerous place to pull our child in. I don't want him near that battlefield. With Goku hearing this, he does kind of understand he doesn't want Goten in harm's way either. However, Goten is so strong and he would help out a lot. And Goten also wants to be there to help out his father and the likes of Krillin, who he has recently met and quite likes. However, the ever silent Goku spends a moment thinking, with him eventually speaking up. How about if Goten just trained, so if something bad was to happen during the battle to me, or the others, he could at least defend himself and you? With Chi-Chi taking a moment to think, she spends a while thinking about it, before agreeing. This would be a good way to make sure Goten is safe, and it would also mean that if something was to happen, at least he could defend himself. She does say, however, that Goten will have to study a bit as well, alongside the training he will be doing with the old man. This is fine with Goku and Goten, as this is the arrangement they've had before. With Goku then explaining to Chi-Chi that Goten will be with Roshi for a short while before heading off to train with himself and Piccolo. Chi-Chi sighs a bit and starts helping Goten pack a load of clothes and some books before sending him off to Roshi's, telling the boy that she will visit him whenever she can. With Goku using Nimbus to drop Goten off with Roshi, he tells his son to do everything Roshi tells him to, and he will soon come back to let him join in with the more intense training with himself and Piccolo. And Goten being okay with this, Goku heads off, and Goku begins his training with Piccolo. However, this isn't the training I want to cover. I'm going to cover what happens at Kame House. We see the likes of Goten begin his training with Master Roshi, who already isn't too sure of how he can teach Goten anything. Goku has already taught the boy a lot of the basics from the Turtle School, and even Kami and Korin, so he's not too sure of what he can do to help the boy. However, he does have some ideas in mind, and Roshi, as soon as the boy arrives on his island, gives him a massive turtle shell. He explains how this is what his father used for training years ago, however his was a bit lighter, telling Goten that his is in fact probably a few hundred times heavier than what Goku's was. Now, with this started, Goten goes through a lot of the similar things that Goku went through in canon. Goten would be made to go through milk runs every day, he would help crop fields, and he would get a task to move a boulder, with the boy being able to do this pretty much on his first day. Roshi severely underestimated how strong this kid was, and is now having to try and make up for it in any way he can. With Goten finding this training slightly difficult for the first week, however, he soon begins to breeze through it with ease, and during his second week, he knocks this task out completely. With Goten getting this done, he doesn't feel to be any stronger. However, the moment he takes the shell off for the first time in a while, actually quite amazed at how much stronger he had gotten. With him having not really felt it, he's now really amazed by this, understanding that this weighted shell has really helped him grow. With Roshi seeing the boy, understanding the idea of a shell and the training he's been going through, she chucks the child another heavier shell. It's quite heavy for even Roshi to hold, however, thanks to the fact he's quite strong, it's not too bad. And Roshi explains from now on he'll be learning in a much different way from his father. He has to push Goten in different ways than he did his dad, so now he will teach him the way of the turtle. With Goten getting through a very different workout routine now, he will be put through sparring matches while wearing his heavier shell. He'll have to do basic workouts. He would have to run laps of the island. He would have to swim. Roshi is pushing Goten as physically hard as possible to try and break through the limits of this boy. And every time Goten grows a bit stronger, he gets heavier weighted turtle shells. With this routine going on for 3 months, Goten manages to grow a lot stronger because of this. She also gets stronger thanks to doing some sparring matches with the boy, and this has led to him just increasing his power a small little bit. However, the likes of Goten has seen a good bit of change here, with his power level now jumping up to 300, thanks to the heavy weighted shell, sparring matches, and the workout routine he's been put through. The boy also learnt some techniques from the turtle school. He didn't learn how to fly, that is a crane technique at the moment, and he might be taught it later on. But he did learn the Kamehameha, and he also picked up the Thundershock Surprise. He saw how cool it was to use against Raditz, and he thought it would be fun to learn. And he picked it up relatively fast. Now, with these 3 months having passed, the likes of Goku shows up. With Goku being able to sense how much stronger his son has got, he feels incredibly proud. With Goku looking towards Roshi thanking the hermit, with Roshi saying it was a pleasure teaching the boy. However, his training hasn't officially finished yet. With Goku and Goten looking a bit confused, Roshi walks into the house before walking back out. He's got a small box and hands over it to Goten. Goten unwraps it, and inside is a turtle school uniform. Goten is super excited to see it, a uniform just like his father's, and now making him an official member of the Turtle School. With Roshi telling the boy that he is now the newest member of this school, carry on the legacy of it. With Goten throwing it on very excitedly, he thanks Roshi a lot, and the likes of Goku and Goten head off towards Piccolo. With Goku asking Goten how his training was, Goten shares everything he went through. With Goku happy to hear that his son is having fun while training, the pair soon arrive at the training grounds he and Piccolo had been using for the last 3 months. Once arriving, Goten can sort of see where fights had broken out, where they had obviously been sparring. He also sees a cave which seems to have a campfire set up and some food in there as well, presuming that is where his father had been sleeping, and also assuming that Piccolo has to sleep and stay in there as well. And then he catches a glimpse of Piccolo. This is the first good look Goten had ever gotten of Piccolo, and he's not afraid of the guy. He just seems like a green person to him. Goten giving the demon a wave, Piccolo sort of scoffs and sort of stands around waiting for the training to begin. With Piccolo seeming slightly different from how Goku had described him, it seems that the time with his father has changed Piccolo a little bit. Now, after getting Goten adjusted to everything here, Goku explains to him that his training is now about to get a lot more intense. So if it ever gets too much, just tell us and we'll try and slow down a bit. However, thanks to the 3 months of training with Roshi, Goten was actually relatively ready for this. And as the next 9 months pass, the three grow a lot stronger. The likes of Goten is taught how to sense ki, how to suppress ki, how to fly. He also picks up some other little bits like the solar flare and whatnot. However, another thing to cover would be the likes of Piccolo going through a very similar character arc as in canon. Thanks to the influence of both Goku and Goten, he would end up at the same stage as he was in the original timeline. However, he and Goten wouldn't be as close as Gohan and himself were. This is mostly because Goten has this really close connection with his father, and with Goku around, it was hard to really bond with the boy. But eventually, the power of the Saiyans appears on Earth. With Goku and Piccolo knowing what they need to do, they fly off towards Goku's house and drop off Goten, telling the boy to stay here and be safe, before the likes of Goku and Piccolo fly off straight towards the power of the Saiyans. Now, when Goten is back at his house for the first time in over a year, he goes into his own room where Chi-Chi has laid out some clothes for him. He changes, but he's always sensing the power of the Saiyans. The power of Vegeta is massive, and it's almost terrifying to him. And he wants to leave to go help his dad and Piccolo. However, he understands that he needs to stay here to defend his mother. And eventually, some people start coming over to his house. People that Goten does sort of know. One of them being Roshi, another being Bulma, and then the likes of Poir and Oolong come over. Ichi explained that they all came here so they can keep an eye on the fight and see how everything goes. She also understands that Goten probably would have the ability to sense ki now, and having him to fill in the blanks would help out a lot. The boy, upon hearing this, is annoyed, but when Roshi arrives, his mentor helps keep him calm. Now, over with Goku and Piccolo, the two have spent the last year training one another, and they've also come up with a few plans to try and defeat the Saiyans, one of them involving the Special Beam Cannon, and grabbing their tails. Goku and Piccolo soon joined by the likes of the Earthlings, all of them having around the same power level as in canon, but maybe there is a small bit of growth there thanks to being able to sense Goku and Piccolo's training. With all of the Z fighters having their powers slightly shown, so the Saiyans know where to come, they are soon caught off guard by the likes of the Saiyans showing up. With Nappa and Vegeta looking over the group, the likes of Vegeta tells Nappa to scan everyone's power. With all of them being pretty low, and most of them being in the hundreds, Vegeta thinks that the Cybermen should be more than enough to deal with this group. However, he does explain how he wants to deal with the low-class Kakarot. With the Cybermen being planted, Tien steps up to fight the first one, and he manages to pull out a win. With Yamcha heading in next, this fight goes a lot like normal, with the likes of Yamcha getting blown up, and Goku and Krillin pretty much raging up at this site. Krillin, like normal, destroys the Cyberman with one blow, and this leads his power jumping up massively. With Vegeta figuring out that the Earthlings can hide their power, he tells Nappa this before sending him in to deal with all of the Earthlings and the Namekian, with Piccolo learning he's a Namekian much like normal. He explains that he needs to make sure that the Kakarot is left for him. Nappa rushes into the group, with the likes of Piccolo getting ready to fight. The Earthlings also get ready to help. Nappa's slowly getting closer. He eventually throws off his scouter, not wanting to destroy it as it might lead to Frieza complaining and or murdering him for destroying more tech. Now, as he gets closer, the likes of Piccolo actually manages to clash with the Saiyan. With Piccolo's power jumping upwards, Vegeta reads out the Namekian's power level to be 5000. Nappa's shocked to hear this. The likes of Piccolo and Nappa go toe to toe for a few minutes. Originally the Earthlings had planned on jumping in to sort of help, however now they just sort of stand by watching. With Nappa slowly starting to take this fight more seriously, the likes of the Earthlings decide to jump in, with Piccolo having lost some footing now. The moment the Earthlings jump in, the likes of the battle is swayed heavily in the Z Fighter's favour, with Goku also wanting to join in, however the likes of Vegeta has been stopping him. Goku can tell that the moment he heads in, Vegeta will also be jumping into this fight, and he doesn't believe that they can handle both Saiyans at once, even if Vegeta was to play around. So Goku is stood on the side, waiting. Now, while Goku is sort of stood helplessly on the side, the battle against Nappa is actually very easy for the Earth group to win. And they have had multiple opportunities to, however the brute of the Saiyan keeps getting up and doesn't ever really give them a chance to take him down. Eventually, Piccolo gets tired of this and manages to get Nappa to the floor. He takes his chance to win and kills the Saiyan dead there. With the Earth group having won the first bit of this fight with a bit of ease, however they are still pretty beaten up, with some of them having some bruises and taking some heavy blows from Nappa. He's no pushover even though they outnumbered him and pretty much outpowered him. With Vegeta now pretty interested for his match, he looks over to Kakarot telling the Saiyan it's time for their fight, and he will show them why he is an elite. With Vegeta letting out his aura and letting out a massive wave of energy, he tells the low class Kakarot to go all out now, and Goku does do so, and when Goku goes all out, his power level jumps up to 6500. This is thanks to the training he and Piccolo did with Goten, and this is also thanks to having a higher starting point. The likes of Vegeta laughing at this, the two Saiyans rush towards one another, and the battle begins, with the first clash only lasting for a few seconds before Vegeta pulls ahead, with the Saiyan landing a massive hit on Goku which sends him flying miles. Vegeta rushes after the likes of Goku, who has been sent flying away, with Vegeta beating into Goku the moment he catches up, and it's not even a fair fight. Vegeta has the clear advantage. However, soon the two Saiyans are chased down by a few other people. The likes of Piccolo and the Earthlings have managed to catch up with them. Vegeta, currently off guard and not being able to sense power, is caught off guard by an attack from Tien, who manages to land an elbow straight into Vegeta's back. It doesn't do much to hurt the Saiyan, however it grabs his attention for just a few seconds. This quickly allows Goku to use a ki blast straight into Vegeta's gut, which sends the prince flying, and seeing another opportunity to attack, Piccolo shoots off a mouth beam straight towards the prince, and this to try and do some more damage or at best kill him. However, Vegeta is now aware that the other fighters will be joining in this match. He deflects this mouth blast with ease, with Vegeta rushing down towards the group and starting to fight. Vegeta has multiple experiences with fighting off multiple groups, so even though they have the number advantage, Vegeta has experience in these sort of matches. With Goku and Piccolo being the only ones who can really do any damage to Vegeta, he concentrates on them mostly. However, thanks to this, Vegeta does lose sight of the Earthlings every now and again. Smallest Earthling sees an opportunity. He takes this without questioning it. Much like in canon, Chaozu is going to blow himself up. He managed to get onto Vegeta's back and is now holding on for dear life. With him telepathically talking to Tien, and Tien relaying the message, Vegeta hears it and sort of laughs. He breaks away from the fight and the Saiyan flies into the air, pretty confidently, taunting the Earthling, telling him to blow up and waste his life. With Tien and the others shouting for Chaozu to stop, well, he does go for a woody attack. Chaozu blows up, with everyone sad. However, for a second they believe that maybe there was a chance it might have killed Vegeta or harmed him. However, as the dust around him clears, they can see he's fine. The only real damage done was a slight burn to his armour. Vegeta begins to laugh at the crappy attempt the Earthling made, and also saying how at least he was smart enough to kill himself. It was a lot less painful than what he would have put him through. With Tien hearing this, the Triclops screams out in rage, flying straight up into the air, and forming a diamond shape with his hands. He screams out once again, and Vegeta, seeing this, laughs at this for a few seconds before the power leaking from Tien actually causes Vegeta to panic just a small bit. He tries to rush towards the three-eyed man, however Tien is all too ready, and the moment Vegeta gets close, Tien screams out, "Kiko Ho!" and begins to pummel Vegeta straight into the ground, not allowing Vegeta to move at all. Shoots off 4 big Kiko Hos straight into Vegeta. This does some decent damage and is actually pummeling Vegeta into the ground. However, these 4 blasts are enough to make Tien's body collapse. He's only able to pull off 4 because he's taken quite a good bit of damage from the battle with Vegeta and Nappa, and he's also used a good amount of energy as well. With Tien falling to the ground not too far from the hole he had put Vegeta in, everyone rushes over to Tien, who is alive but hardly hanging in there. They tell him how stupid he was, and Tien says how he would have been fine, as they could have brought him back with the Dragon Balls. With Tien then asking if he killed Vegeta, however, the Lights of Piccolo shouts out for everyone to be ready, with a massive power flaring up from inside the hole. Vegeta rushes out of it, and he screams at the top of his lungs, "What do they mean by wish?" With Vegeta having heard the conversation, everyone panics a bit, with none of them sharing the info. However, Vegeta has heard enough to understand that there is some sort of wish-granting thing on this planet. He just needs to find out what it is, so after he's killed these, he'll get the information out of someone else. However, right now Vegeta is actually pretty heavily injured thanks to the likes of Tien, but it's not enough of an advantage for the likes of Goku, Piccolo and Krillin. These guys are all pretty injured themselves, and this leads to the fight being quite close still. And thanks to the fact that the Z fighters are all injured and trying to protect Tien, they are actually losing. Over at Goku's house, the likes of Goten had been following the fight closely, while the others watch it on the news, with Goten helping fill in some blanks and also explaining whenever someone had died. And the boy, after sensing that his father's friends are dying quite fast, doesn't want to sit around anymore. Believing his power could turn the tide of this fight, he walks into his room and throws on his turtle school gi, and he starts heading towards the front door before being stopped by his mother, who tells him that he is not to leave this house as it will be too dangerous and he could die. Goten responds by saying if he doesn't help, Dad or More could die, and he needs to try do something. He wants to help. This could be the end of the world. He might be able to turn the fight in their favour. With Chi-Chi going to argue back, Roshi steps out in front of his student, telling the boy, "This isn't no game, son. This is a dangerous fight. You could die. I need you to understand that." Goten shakes his head, saying he does, with Chi-Chi expecting Roshi to try and stop the boy. However, the old turtle hermit looks at Goten, telling the boy to sense for an energy in that direction, pointing in the direction of Korin's tower. Goten spends a while sensing and eventually finds Kami and Korin. He nods his head and Roshi tells him to start flying towards there. Fly as fast as you possibly can. And at the top of a tower there's a cat. Talk to him, tell him you are Goku's son and have been sent by Muten Roshi. Tell him you need something called sensu beans. With him then telling Goten that once he has gotten the beans, you need to head straight to your dad and give them to him, before coming back here. Goten wanted to argue so he can stick around and help fight, how maybe he can do something. Roshi gives the boy a very serious look, telling Goten that he is only dropping off the sensu beans. Goten agrees, and he says he will just drop off the beans, before rocketing off, almost knocking Roshi to the ground with his power. Chi-Chi goes to shout at Roshi before seeing the old man looks quite worried. with Roshi saying that the boy would have gone one way or another, but this way he will arrive a bit later to the fight, and he will also have some way of helping his father out with the beans. Chi-Chi, realising that Roshi didn't want Goten to go either, bites her tongue and doesn't say anything. Roshi doesn't want him to go because he's still too young and isn't a very strong martial artist yet. Even though he outclasses him in terms of power, there's still a lot the boy needs to learn, and he was hoping that maybe he would have got some different sort of fighting experience for his first real fight. Now, with the boy keeping his sights locked on Korin's power, he rushes there, making it in quite a fast trip. With Korin having been following the fight over with the Saiyans, he's shocked to see a small child land on his lookout. Then, when he gets a better look at the boy, he sees it to be a small Goku. With him confused, Goten says everything Roshi told him to. Korin's very confused but understands who this kid is. He chucks the kid 3 senzu beans, telling him that's all he has. He goes on to tell the boy what the senzu beans are and how they work. Goten is amazed at this and thanks the cat before flying off as fast as he can towards the battlefield. While this has been happening, the battle between the Earth group and Vegeta has been going on still, and the likes of the Z Fighters are desperately trying to hold off the injured Vegeta. However, right now it is pretty even, and you could almost consider Vegeta losing. This is thanks to the fact that Tien managed to crawl away and Vegeta can't use him as a threat anymore, meaning that the group don't have to worry about him as much. And with the Prince knowing he is losing, he wants to leave the battle quickly to turn into a Great Ape, as much as he doesn't want to have to do it against a Namekian, a low-class warrior and a bold midget. He understands this might be the only way for him to win right now. With him starting to try and make some distance, the group don't allow him to. The likes of Goku or Piccolo jump straight at him the moment he tries to move away. And after a while of fighting like this, eventually Goten's power shows up on the battlefield, with this catching the attention of the Z Fighters and stopping them in their tracks. Vegeta lands a hit on all 3 of them, with him then making some distance from himself and disappearing all of a sudden. He manages to do some serious damage to the likes of Goku and Piccolo, who look up to see Goten, who is currently pretty tired and sweating from his flight over here. With Goku shouting, asking his son what is he here for, with Goten flying down and passing his father a senzu bean. Goku smiles at this, having forgotten to grab them before this battle begun. He eats it and jumps up feeling a lot stronger and better, having all of his energy back. With Goku getting a Zenkai from this, his power level jumps up to 9,000, making himself actually a bit stronger than his canon counterpart. With Goku feeling strong enough to take Vegeta, who's pretty injured right now, on his own, he begins to search around for him, telling Goten to give a senzu bean to Piccolo and try and give one to the other 2. With Goku looking around for Vegeta, he can't find him. He tries to spend some time sensing out his power, and it's kind of difficult right now, with everyone's power sort of coming back to life after having a senzu bean. The likes of Piccolo gets a full one for himself, and the likes of Krillin and Tien split one between them. This gives Krillin enough energy that he feels like he could fight, and Tien is now able to stand up and move around a lot more easily. Now, Goku, who is currently still searching for Vegeta's power, eventually finds it, and he looks up into the sky, shouting for everyone to be ready, and suddenly a giant monkey falls down. Vegeta laughs aloud, saying how they don't stand a chance against him now. With everyone looking horrified and scared at how strong Vegeta is, they are actually in a bit of luck. He's weaker than his canon counterpart was when he was in Great Ape. This is thanks to the fact he had been injured a lot and had to waste a lot more energy. So let's put his power level around 100,000. This is still a massive hurdle to jump, but they do have the ability to do it. Now, with him being a much bigger threat than before, everyone stands up ready to fight. Even the likes of Tien manages to stand, getting ready to fight. With Goten also taking a fighting stance, Goku almost tells his son to leave, before understanding that he needs to be here right now. This is a fight for the planet, and he understands that he'll take the shouting at from Chi-Chi later. And Goten's power level here would be about 3,000. With Krillin pointing out to everyone how he knows how to defeat this giant monkey, going on to explain to Goku what used to happen to him when he was younger. And he goes on to explain how the way Roshi stopped it during the tournament was to destroy the moon. However, the moon isn't up right now. The next best guess is to remove the tail. With everyone understanding this, they all break off, getting ready to fight. Goten is told to stay near Tien and work as an extra bit of movement for him. Tien is still low on energy and still has a hard time moving. However, he can fight enough, so if Goten sticks around him, he can help get him out of harm's way. And the people who do the most upfront and personal fighting would be Goku and Piccolo. Thanks to the fact they both got a full senzu bean, they are able to avoid Vegeta a little bit better than the others. However, they are still hit a lot, and At some point he's even pummeled into the ground a bit, but thanks to some quick thinking from Piccolo, he does get Vegeta off him. Now, the battle goes on for a while, and everyone has a hard time avoiding him. However, Tien does struggle the most, like I said. He's still hurt, doesn't have a lot of energy, and he is just struggling in general. However, thanks to Goten being around him, Goten can get him out of harm's way. This does lead to Goten getting hit a lot of the time when Tien should have been, but for the most part the boy is okay. The fight drags on for a while, with the Earth group having try and find any opening they can. Eventually they do figure out how Vegeta moves and how he fights a bit more, and are slowly starting to find an opening. Goten has a really bad idea, but he's hoping it'll work. He flies out straight in front of Vegeta's face, with the Saiyan laughing at this. However, Goten shouts out for everyone to be ready. Goten claps his hands together and shoots off a Thunder Shock surprise straight into Vegeta's face. This makes contact with the Saiyan and actually manages to freeze Vegeta up for just a few seconds. With Krillin having trusted Goten, he had a Destructo Disc prepped, and he throws it, cutting off Vegeta's tail. Everyone happy to see this. They all sort of fall to the ground, hoping that Vegeta would be out of commission. However, Vegeta still stands in his base form. Goku and Goten are the only ones who can really stand around right now, and Vegeta gets ready to fight once again. With the father-son duo also getting ready to fight, the Saiyans clash with one another. However, at this point Vegeta is at a massive disadvantage. He's heavily drained of energy, he's injured, and thanks to the fact that Goten has only really taken the odd hit or two, he's pretty good. He's only really drained of ki. And also, thanks to the fact that Goku and Goten are working with one another, they fight in perfect sync. Vegeta is having a hard time keeping up with them. With the fight going on for just a few short minutes before all three of them fall to the ground, Goku falls to the ground for a lack of energy anymore and his injuries just taking a toll. Goten falls because he doesn't have the energy to fight anymore, and the likes of Vegeta can hardly stand at this point in time. He's in a pretty bad situation, probably about as bad as he was in canon, and at this point he accepts defeat. He calls his pod, and in a very similar way he leaves the planet, vouching that he will come back and destroy them. Kill every creature on this miserable rock before leaving the planet. With everyone on the ground hardly able to move, Piccolo is spending any amount of stamina he has left trying to regain some power, but it's still a very slow process. Eventually the people at the Sun family house fly over to help everyone. Chi-Chi sees her son and husband really injured and runs over to them to go check on them. With Chi-Chi mostly checking on Goten, she does give Goku some attention before scolding her husband for letting Goten fight. But Goku goes on to explain how Goten is the saviour of the day. He's the only reason that he thinks they would have managed to win there. Goten smiles like crazy at hearing this, and Chi-Chi starts chewing Goku out. However, everyone is pretty happy that most of them managed to live this fight. And as everyone is loaded into the ship and being taken to Wukong Hospital, the victory is a bit bittersweet. We did lose two friends today, the likes of Yamcha and Chaozu, with Chaozu not being able to be brought back with a dragon. However, the group might have to find a way around this, but that's a journey for the next part. And this is where I'm leaving this part. Sorry to leave it here, it's kind of weird to do. However, this part feels way too long already, but I must say I really do enjoy this What If, and I'm happy to see that loads of people liked it as well. The first part did really great, and I'm happy to see that. However, there is another What If I've done at the moment which needs the attention, and that is What If Bardock escaped. I'm actually enjoying that What If myself. I've written out the next part, so you guys should see it after this one. Yeah, it's really good. I like that one because I get to play with the timeline. Things where I get to play with the story a bit more are always fun, and if I get to play with a character I like, that's always a lot more fun. So one of my favourite ones to write. Actually, the Bardock one at the moment, I like What If Raditz came to Earth early. The Chi-Chi one is super fun to me. Cabba is one of my favourite characters introduced in Super, so I'm happy I get to play with him. Stuff like that, I like playing with things I like. So that's always fun. I shouldn't say things, they're people. They're not. But you know what I mean. But before I sign off and do my normal stuff, I do want to say, what do people think to my new thumbnail style? I quite like it. It fills the empty space of what used to be my old thumbnails, and I think it's a bit more eye-catchy. However, I do want people to let me know what they think, and if there's anything they think I should do with it. For now, I'm quite happy with this, and I've been trying to play with it for a little bit, and this is what I came with. So yeah, I hope everyone likes the new thumbnail style. I loved it for this one. This is probably one of the better ones I've worked on. But yeah, for now, I hope you all have a great day, a good night, and hopefully I'll see you next time.